Good morning, everyone. Today is Tuesday, June 10th, 2025. We're here this morning for our Administrative Matters meeting. I call this meeting to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, everyone. I'm Kristen Stevens, Chair of the Board of County Commissioners. With me are my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Jody Shattuck McNally and Commissioner John Kafalis. To my right, we have from the clerk's office, Diane Cheney, helping us with note-taking for this meeting. We also have our county manager, Lorinda Volker, with us, Tom Clayton from Public Affairs, and Sarah Martin from the Commissioner's office. So welcome, everyone. Our first item on the agenda is public comment, so we'll start with that. We have one person signed up, that's Cindy Buckhart. Cindy, we'll have you come up, introduce yourself, and you'll have 3 minutes to speak. And if there's anyone else who wants to speak, we'll give them an opportunity as well.
Cindy Buckhart, President of the Larimer County 4-H Foundation. First, I would like to address the comments that are part of the minutes of May 26. The board mentioned that there seems to be some missing information in my public comments. The board explained that Mr. McGrath, the current ranch director, as well as the previous director, has provided information and details about certain violations that have been shared. The board wanted the public to know that this is an ongoing discussion. Agreed, it has been an ongoing discussion, but it's just that, a discussion. If there are details about violations, then why, upon my repeated requests, has no documentation been produced? The statement that there is some missing information is not quite accurate unless the board can provide specifically what information is missing. Article 9 of the MOU between Larimer County Extension and the ranch states that it is the intention of both parties to find solutions to issues that arise, rather than take a punitive approach to challenges. If that's really true, then why is the ranch taking a punitive approach to the Larimer County 4-H Foundation? February 23, there was a McKee Building Policies and Procedure Agreement. The first statement is that the Thomas McKee Building was built to complement 4-H youth development programming in Larimer County. Number 1 of the agreement states 4-H user groups in Larimer County may use the facility without expense, which the Larimer County 4-H Foundation is a user group. January 1 of 25, there is a MOU between the ranch and Larimer County Extension. Larimer County Extension Office can book 4-H events in the McKee Building. The Larimer County 4-H Foundation Scholarship Award Ceremony is a 4-H event and therefore can be booked by Larimer County Extension. Why does Mr. McGrath have the ability to cancel an event that is booked by Larimer County Extension? January 14th to 25. Per an email from Mr. McGrath, he states that 4-H Foundation events, whereby the primary benefactor is the 4-H County 4-H, will be booked in the name of 4-H at the Extension Office, which our scholarship awards was booked by and through Larimer County Extension. The ask today from the Larimer County 4-H Foundation is to be allowed to have our scholarship awards as scheduled on June 28th in the Thomas McKee Building. The awards are a 4-H event and work booked by the Larimer County Extension as permitted by the MOU with the ranch and per the email from Mr. McGrath. The ceremony was booked through Larimer County Extension. The scholarship awards of $1,000 each are to be given to 24 county 4-H youth, as well as 2 youth receiving scholarships from the Stock Growers Association. We hope you all will keep June 28th open on your calendars to attend the scholarship awards reception, hopefully being held in the McKee Building.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wanted to give public comment? Sarah, was there anyone who wanted to call in with public comment?
No, Commissioner.
No? Okay. Then we'll close public comment, bring it back to the commissioners. Is there any response that Commissioner Shattuck McNally?
Just want to say congratulations to all the 4-H youth who are receiving scholarships, and I want to thank Ms. Burkhart for inviting us to join them on June 28th.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Kafalis, any comments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Just to say, well, thank you, Cindy, for taking the time to be here to express your opinion. And it is my hope that a suitable location can be found for the June 28th Scholarship Award ceremony.
Thank you, Commissioner Cavallis. All right, we will move on to we'll move on to our next agenda item, which is approval of the minutes, and I'll ask Commissioner Shattuck McNally to make that motion.
Certainly, Madam Chair, I move to approve the minutes for the week of May 26, 2025.
Thank you. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. We will move to our upcoming schedule review. Sarah.
This is the Commissioner's schedule for June 16th through the 21st. On Monday, June 16th from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., there will be an elected officials lunch at the Rio at 143 West Mountain Avenue in Fort Collins. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session with Leslie Ellis, Director of Community Planning, Infrastructure, and Resources in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. On Tuesday, June 17th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., there will be an Administrative Matters meeting in the hearing room on the first floor. From 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis may attend the Community Corrections Advisory Board meeting. It's a hybrid meeting. In person, it will be at 2307 Midpoint Drive in Fort Collins or virtually via Zoom. From 1:30 p.m. to 3 p.m., there will be administrative direction to county management in the Sprague Lake Conference Room on the second floor. From 3:30 p.m. to 5 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual rodeo board meeting. On Wednesday, June 18th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual Big Thompson Watershed Health Partnership meeting. From 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., Commissioner Shattuck McNally may participate in the virtual National Association of Counties Environment, Energy, and Land Use meeting. From 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m., there will be a work session regarding compensation in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 2:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m., there will be a work session regarding Black Hollow debris flow recovery options in the Commissioner's Conference Room on the second floor. From 4 p.m. to 5 p.m., the Commissioners may attend the Veterans Together meeting in the Boyd Lake Conference Room on the first floor. On Thursday, June 19th, county offices will be closed in observance of the Juneteenth holiday. From 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., the Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together policy meeting. On Friday, June 20th, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., Commissioners may participate in the virtual Counties and Commissioners Acting Together member check-in meeting. From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., Commissioner Cavallis may participate in the virtual Intensive Behavioral Health Services Advisory Committees and Public Stakeholder meeting. On Saturday, June 21st, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Commissioners may attend the Poudre Fire Authority Station 7 open house at 3016 West County Road 54G in Fort Collins. From 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., Commissioner Stevens may attend the World Refugee Day Cultural Festival and Open House at Opera Galleria at 123 North College in Fort Collins.
Thank you, Sarah. Any corrections, Commissioner Shattuck McNally?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Sarah and Melissa and Brenda. You all worked so hard for us on our schedules. I wanted to add, because I'm not sure if my colleagues will be joining me, on Friday, June 20th from 11:30 to 1:30, there'll be a Commissioners and Counties Acting Together June interim policy meeting. I think that's some of us working on some bills and things, but I just want to put that on there in case other folks join us. And then I hadn't put on my calendar yet, but I'm also attending, if you could please add that to my calendar, the World Refugee Day Cultural Festival. I'll probably not stay till 4, but you can put it on as you know how days get. And I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally. Commissioner Cavallis, anything to add?
Just one thing. I'd
Okay.
also like to add my name as possibly attending the World Refugee Day on the 21st.
Thank you. Is that all, Commissioner?
Oh,
That's
yes.
everything? Okay.
Actually, I think I have one more, Madam
Go
Chair.
ahead,
I
Commissioner
apologize.
Shattuck McNally.
On the 18th, I will be joining the call for the Northern Front Range recreational sports shooting call. Probably because we have I'll probably go in person. I think I'll be doing it virtually, not in person. But it is a kind of our biannual call. So that is from 1 to 2, but I will probably only stay for the first half hour. So thank you.
And then, Sarah, one thing, I will be likely attending the Juneteenth celebration in Fort Collins on Saturday, June 21st, sort of around those other events. Thank you.
I'll put that on my calendar too, because I think on the way home, just to stop by.
All right. Calendars are done. We will move on to the consent agenda. It's quite long this time, so please bear with us. Our first item on the consent agenda is we have 16 abatements or refund of taxes. If you would like more information about those, please go to our website to check those out. We have 15 agreements. The first agreement is an American Rescue Plan Collaborative Grant Agreement. This amends an agreement that we already had with Thompson School District to provide $1 million of funding to the school district to expand their career and technical education programs. This removes it from the requirements of the American Rescue Plan Act, and that new terms will be ending December 31st, 2026. And again, as I said, it was $1 million of funding to the district. We have a second item, professional services agreement. Stifel will serve as the county's municipal advisor for the proposed issuance of certificates of participation that will be used to finance the ranch Phase 2 projects. And the cost is dependent on the project scope, not to exceed $265,000. We have another professional agreement also for those certificates of participation. This is with Piper Sandler, who will serve as the underwriter for the issuance of the certificates of participation to use to finance those projects at the ranch. Estimated fee is $319,000, it looks like, not to exceed 0.29% of the par amount of the certificates of participation at closing. We have an encroachment agreement for guardrails at Clover Reservoir and County Road 56. Larimer County will be gaining access to install guardrails in an area where some established right-of-way is disputed. And so that the term is in perpetuity. Fifth item is an intergovernmental agreement for wildfire recovery and risk reduction. This is an agreement for reimbursement of expenses related to wildfire recovery and risk reduction related to the Alexander Mountain Fire. The City of Loveland is the recipient of emergency watershed protection funds from the Natural Resources Conservation Service and will reimburse Larimer County for expenses incurred for structure protection, design, and installation performed by the county at Cedar Creek. And the total dollar amount is $99,999. There's a sixth item, easement and right-of-way agreement. This grants a permanent easement on land owned by Larimer County to Fort Collins Loveland Water District for construction and maintenance of a domestic water line to serve the solid waste transfer facility. Seventh item is a construction services agreement for resurfacing with Martin Marietta. The eighth agreement is a Federal Lands Access Program project amendment. Natural Resources was awarded a Federal Lands Access Program, or FLAP grant, in 2020. The amendment to the existing agreement with the Federal Highways Administration reflects $850,000 from the Bureau of Reclamation's Federal Lands Transportation Program to cover additional project costs above the $11 million FLAP funds. Then there is a license for property access to install and maintain a rain and stream gauge monitoring station along Cedar Creek. And this monitoring station will become part of Larimer County's early flood warning system. The terms run through December 31st, 2029. We have a State of Colorado Department of Human Services contract. This is to support the Aging and Disability Resource Centers, which assist older adults, veterans, and adults with disability in accessing long-term services and supports. That runs through June of next year, and the total dollar amount is approximately $64,000. There's an easement and right-of-way agreement that grants easement on land owned by Larimer County to South Fort Collins Sanitation District to maintain a sanitary sewer line to service improvements at the ranch complex. 12th agreement is a conveyance of permanent non-exclusive easement that Larimer County can install fiber optic lines to make improvements at solid waste north landfill. Total dollar amount is $500. Then another agreement for Medicaid consulting and billing services for community corrections, and that runs through June of next year. Total dollar amount will be based on services needed. Then we have a memorandum of understanding amendment between the Colorado Department of Early Childhood and Larimer County Department of Human Services for the state fiscal year 2025 through 26. This is for allocation and administration of the early childhood program. And then the last agreement on the agenda, consent agenda, is a memorandum of understanding, which is an annual reaffirmation between the State of Colorado Department of Human Services and the Board of County Commissioners. And we will be working on significant revisions for the MOU in the following fiscal year. We have 6 appointments to boards. The first is a appointment to the Board of Health for Ethne Trike for a term ending June 30th, 2030. Reappointment to the Flood Review Board for Chad Morris. Oops, sorry, that was loud. For a term ending June 30th, 2028. Recommended reappointments to the Workforce Development Board for Mark Christensen, Julie Ann Sela, Nicholas Peterson, Colleen DePascal, Dawn Papke, Jennifer Miller, Heather Lelchuk, Ann Hutchison, Sean Peters, Tracy Mead, Janelle Highfill, Ridge Overholt, and Joe Martinez to full terms that will end June 30th, 2028. That's a large board. And then a recommended midterm reappointment to the Workforce Development Board for Aaron Hottenstein, Nicholas Peterson, Lucinda Kirschensteiner, and Ann Million. And those terms will end June 30th, 2026. We have a recommended reappointment to the Extension Advisory Committee for Margaret Ann Long for a term that runs through June 30th, 2028. And reappointments to the Board of Appeals for Wyatt Knutson and Paul Higman for terms that end June 30th, 2028. We have one letter of support, and that is a letter of support for Johnstown. They're applying for a Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. We successfully got that grant, and quite a few communities in Larimer County have, so we definitely support Johnstown applying for this grant. And the grant, the letter signifies that there's no overlap or duplication of efforts in their safety action plan and our safety action plan. 6 liquor licenses, findings in order for the Estes Park Aerial Tramway, for a beer and wine liquor license, findings in order for Oh Dear doing business as a Spice Rack for beer and wine liquor license, a liquor license renewal for the Loveland Country Store for fermented malt beverage and wine, a liquor license renewal for Fort Fun, and that's a tavern license, a new liquor license for Estes Park Aerial Tramway for a beer and wine license, and a special event liquor permit for the Rock Garden Concert Vegetable Connection. And that is a special event, 6% liquor license. We have 13 miscellaneous items. 8 are stipulations as to tax year 2023 and or tax year 2024. Oh my gosh. And then we have an amendment, number 1, deed of conservation easement for West Red Mountain Ranch and Little Ponderosa Ranch. This was property that was acquired in 2020 in a conservation easement. And so there'll be additional land associated with this easement now, and it will allow for a barn to be constructed on the easement property. And GoCo Colorado, one of our funding partners, has approved the amendment. We have the Larimer County Fair Board bylaws. We recently approved those bylaws, and there is a revision to those so that they comply with other bylaws, and so we will be approving that today. And then 2 requests to enter upon lands to do weed mitigation, and then 1 statement of authority to authorize Justin Core to execute closing documents associated with that Red Mountain Ranch, Little Ponderosa Ranch conservation easement. We're almost there. So our last item is for resolutions. The first resolution is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to deed of conservation easement for West Red Mountain Ranch, Little Ponderosa Ranch. The next is a resolution ordering a public hearing to consider petitions for Nedra Acres Public Improvement District number 77. Then a resolution ordering a public hearing for petitions for Rolling Hills Public Improvement District number 78. And then a resolution ordering a public hearing to consider petitions for Thunder Mountain Public Improvement District number 76. All those resolutions will result in a public hearing for those petitions on July 7th, 2025 to consider those public improvement districts. And that is the end of our consent agenda. Would either commissioner like to remove something from the consent agenda? No. All right. Then Commissioner Kafalis, would you like to make a motion on this?
Yes, I move to approve the consent agenda for June 10th, 2025.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on any of these large amount of items? All right. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That motion passes 3-0. Does anyone have any guests today? Nope. Okay. We will move on to our first discussion item then, and that is to proclaim June 2025 as Family Unification Month in Larimer County. So Angela Mead is here with us to kick off this item. Welcome, Angela.
Good morning. It's nice to see you. On behalf of Larimer County Child, Youth, and Family Services, thank you for the opportunity to share a few words in support of today's proclamation. We're here to recognize Family Unification Month during the month of June, and this is a time to reflect on the strength of families and our shared commitment to helping them thrive together safely and with dignity. I'd like to introduce Jen Rotar. She's one of our ongoing caseworkers, and she was recognized in the month of April for Ongoing Caseworker of the Year. And she's going to share a few points with you later at the conclusion of the PowerPoint presentation. As part of the presentation today, we do have a PowerPoint that we want to share with you. And a very special part of that PowerPoint presentation is the voice of families who have been part of family unification. And we thought it was important, as we talk about this very important proclamation, is to bring their voice to you. And so you'll see some quotes as we go through some of the slides. So first of all, I want to just mention the very important purpose of this proclamation. Today, we're asking the Board of County Commissioners to recognize June as Family Reunification Month in Larimer County. This proclamation aligns itself with a national movement to honor the importance of keeping families safely together and to promote family unity as a shared responsibility across our community. So in years past, when I've presented this proclamation, it's been referred to as Family Reunification Month, and there's been a shift to family unification. So the term unification reflects a broader commitment. It's not just to reunite families after a separation has occurred, but to prevent separation whenever safely possible. It highlights the importance of early and supportive interventions that help families remain intact. This shift also aligns itself with the differential response practice model in Colorado, which emphasizes the importance of community partnerships and the value of preventative services and family inclusion in our work. So I want to just talk briefly about the core beliefs of our Child, Youth, and Family Services practice model. We believe that families are the cornerstone of healthy child development. When families face challenges, they deserve support, not judgment. And we believe every effort should be made to keep children safely with their families whenever possible. On the slide here, you will see a quote by an incarcerated father that we had worked with. He states, "After being incarcerated for almost 3 years and realizing I was going to have to navigate Child Protective Services situation coming out of prison, I was skeptical and almost certain that I would be judged by my past and labeled as a convict or a failure. But it was the exact opposite. I continued to provide proof of how I've changed and how I'm able to navigate life being sober. The caseworkers were a witness to that and gave me grace and a positive attitude, which gave me hope. Eventually, I was reunited with my daughter full-time after 3 short months. I'm grateful for their support." So I want to talk just briefly about the importance of supporting families. We approach our work with a trauma-informed, culturally responsive, and strength-based practice. We engage families' natural supports, and this might include relatives, neighbors, teachers, or members of the faith community, and other trusted community members who can walk alongside them. And we partner with professionals in our community to guide families with compassion and respect for their lived experience.
I'll read a few of the quotes for you. Family disputes involving children are traumatic for all involved. We are thankful for our caseworker for mediating on behalf of our grandchildren. We wanted to be a positive influence in their life and appreciate the professional guidance provided. And that came from grandparents who are providing care. The next quote, "My sister, my neighbor, and even my son's teacher were part of the support team. They helped me believe I wasn't alone. They made all the difference." From a parent whose support network helped prevent a removal through a support plan. And the church family was very helpful in getting the family organized. The Jacob Center was good for the kids, helping them with impulse control. Having a coach helped them process their trauma and be able to stop and think. Kids who go through trauma need help and services right away. While foster care is sometimes necessary, kids need to be prepared to return to their own family's reality. My grandchildren love being back with their dad, and that's from Grammy.
So I wanted to speak briefly about our commitment to equity and hope. We recognize that addressing racial and cultural disparities is essential to ensuring equitable access to resources and to achieving lasting unification. We also know that hope is a critical ingredient in a family's journey. Our practices are grounded in the belief that healing is possible and that families can and do grow stronger together. On the slide here are a few more quotes. So the first quote was from a mother who thought she was a lost cause. She states, "I was a lost cause in everyone's eyes. I made it out, and I've turned my life around in the best possible ways. My caseworker provided resources, communication, and most of all, support, and she wanted to see people succeed." A quote from a parent who was unified through culturally based services. She states, "I didn't feel heard until someone finally asked about my culture and my story. Once they understood where I came from, they helped me build a plan that worked for me and my kids." And then another quote from kinship providers who adopted 2 girls. They state, "When tragedy struck our family, we had to quickly make decisions that would impact us for the rest of our lives. There wasn't a question about wanting to help, but how we were going to do it. And it was scary. Our caseworker and the adoption specialist helped us through each step and explained the benefits of adoption. Their continued support is so beneficial to our family." We are grateful to the parents and family members who have shared their stories with us. Their voices remind us that change is possible when families are supported and can experience new opportunities for their family. So as I typically do, I share a few data points with you so you can see our progress with family unification in Larimer County for 2024. So 749 children remained with their families throughout the life of their case avoiding trauma of separation or removal. On average, 444 children were able to stay safely in their homes while receiving ongoing case management and support. And 77 children in 2024 were successfully reunited with their parents after a period of separation. And we want to give thanks to the dedication of families, our staff, and a whole host of community partners that played an active role towards family unification. So we invite the board at this time and our broader community to join us in celebrating and supporting the families, service providers, and allies who work every day to keep families together. Family unification is not just a goal. It's a shared value that strengthens our entire community. As we honor this month, we invite you and our entire community to continue standing with families. Whether through policy, partnership, or personal connection, your support makes a difference in ensuring that every child grows up in a safe, loving, and unified family whenever possible. And I'm going to turn it over to Jan. She wants to share some of her experiences working with families.
Thank you, Angela. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you. Again, my name is Jen Rotar. I've been a social caseworker with Larimer County for 4 years, and 2 years prior to that, I worked in another capacity in child family protection. I've been a resident of Larimer County for 25 years and birthed. Family unification is the goal of every Larimer County child protection caseworker. I love my job as an ongoing caseworker because I'm able to witness daily the progress of families from a place of challenge and struggle to a place of child safety and family unity. I have had the great pleasure of working with most of the families who are quoted in our presentation today. Unification is focusing on the goal of keeping families intact at the outset of every case, and the goal of returning children to their home when circumstances require that a child be removed from their parents. For example, the young mother who felt like a failure, she was struggling with substance addiction and needed to focus on her recovery before she could be the wonderful mother that she is today. Unification is ensuring that when children must be placed outside the home, whenever possible, they're placed with kin, with the extended families and the friends who already know them and love them. For example, the aunt who adopted her 2 young nieces adapted her entire life to make the children's needs met. Unification is ensuring that parents have ample time and the opportunity to maintain the bonds with their children while working on their treatment plans. The dad who was incarcerated was given the opportunity to reconnect with his child and learn how to meet her needs. Unification is bringing in extended family, friends, community resources to create a network of safety for children through family meetings. For example, Grammy, her church network didn't know that her son needed help until a child protection case brought everyone together. Unification is the idea that families are stronger together and know themselves the best. What caseworkers bring is the ability to plan with families, to identify their strengths and areas for growth, to provide connections with the community resources, and to offer encouragement for the families on the path to family unification. Casework recognizes that families come in every form and every family is unique and has their own path towards child safety. Family unification at the end of each case is a cause for celebration and the great satisfaction that I find in this work. I am honored to be here to ask the Larimer County Board of Commissioners to proclaim that June be recognized as Family Unification Month.
Thank you, Jen. Any questions or comments for Jen or Angela? Commissioner Kafalis?
I don't have any questions, just thank you for all the amazing work, preventative work that we do to ensure that families can stay together. So thank you very much for all that work.
Thank you, Commissioner Shattuck McNally.
Well, thank you for those quotes and those stories. That's really impactful, and the numbers are quite striking and so important to share because it is such upstream work that will lay down the roots for intervening and early intervention for these youth, especially for their ability to stay learning and in their homes and reduce the trauma. So I just really appreciate all your work. Jen, I just want to say congratulations on your award. It sounds like it's well-deserved recognition. It's great to hear how much you love your work, and we are grateful for that, and for Angela and your whole team and the work that you all do on a daily basis, the boots on the ground, important work of serving our families, especially those in need. And it's some of the most important, Commissioner Stephen, we all say this all the time, but it's some of the most important work we do. And sometimes it's not always seen or recognized. So it's great that we have this opportunity. And I just want to say, together with the board and policy. I love that quote about policy and partner, and something that was a great quote, because we do have to come together to do this, to serve our families and our youth especially, and we can really create this brighter future and strengthen families and make a more connected county and community. And that's part of that sense of belonging, to make people feel like, maybe I made a mistake, maybe I'm cast off, but now they feel like they have value and that they are an important member of the community. I was researching this over the weekend, seeing how this all started, and it was from the American Bar Association. And I found that really fascinating, that a group of lawyers, how they really fought for this proclamation and the work that they did, and how much they still promote it and are very involved, because a lot of those lawyers are the ones that are in the courtroom fighting for these youth and making sure they have strong voices representing their interests. And I know you all represent their interests as well as the families. And so I think the importance of family preservation and the efforts that you all undertake to ensure children remain united with their families, whether it's kinship or grandparents, or get reunified with their families whenever safely possible. That's the key. It's just really important for our community going forward. And I just really want to express my heartfelt gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, I don't have any questions. Thank you both for being there. Yeah, and Jen, congratulations on the ongoing caseworker award. We appreciate your service to the community and to the county. So I really like the renaming of this month, because it makes more sense, right? We're not just talking about reunifying families that have been, had to be split up for a time. We're really talking about the whole process of keeping families together. And I just admire that that's the goal, and that I think that in Larimer County we do that better than many other counties do, of really trying to keep kids with their families. It really just helps with healing and trauma process if you're not also, and there's cases where that has to happen, but the care and the resources that you offer to families that are trying to reunify is so important, and that having that patience and that just dedication to that process is really important, because parenting is hard. Being an adult is hard. Living is hard. And, some people who've experienced trauma themselves really struggle with, with parenting. It's not easy in the best of times, right? And so, when talking about a person who had some, substance use issues, it's like, okay, that's something that we can handle, breaking things into chunks and being able to make sure that people can deal with some of the things in their life to get their kids back. I mean, that's what the goal is all about. So I really do like the new name. It really reflects more of the work that you actually do, and it sort of centers the work, it just centers the work that you do, right? It is about unifying, keeping families together and healthy. And so kudos to all of you. Definitely hard work, but as Jen said, it's very rewarding as well. So well, I'll have Commissioner Shattuck McNally read the proclamation. We'll make the motion, and then if y'all don't mind, we'll take a photo, and we have a couple copies of the proclamation for you as well. Great.
I'd be very happy to read this proclamation, and I'm grateful to have this opportunity today to do that. So this is a proclamation for Family Unification Month, June of 2025. Whereas families are the foundation of our community, and the bond between children and their parents is essential to the well-being and development of every child. And whereas Larimer County Child, Youth, and Family Services believe that in partnership with the community, we share a collective responsibility to identify and provide services and support that enhance family safety, wellness, and resiliency. And whereas June has traditionally been recognized as Family Reunification Month by the American Bar Association, and in 2025, this recognition expanded to Family Unification Month to emphasize both the critical goal of family reunification and the broader responsibility to preserve and protect family unity whenever safely possible. And whereas families are a primary source of love, support, and ethnic and cultural identity, and must be supported through trauma-informed, strength-based, and culturally responsive services that are accessible and affirming. And whereas unification efforts are most successful when they include natural support such as extended family, neighbors, educators, faith communities, and other caring adults, alongside professional services and secondary care providers who guide and support families through healing and growth. And whereas Larimer County is committed to addressing the racial disproportionality and disparity in the child welfare system to ensure equitable outcomes for all families, and to implementing solution-oriented practices that instill hope and foster lasting family relationships. And whereas we acknowledge and honor the persistent, courageous efforts of parents, caregivers, and professionals who work tirelessly to reunify families or prevent separation in the first place. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of Larimer County does hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Family Unification Month, and calls upon all residents to recognize and support the families in our community working toward healing, stability, and connection, dated this 10th day of June 2025. And Madam Chair, I move to approve the proclamation declaring June 2025 as Family Unification Month.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. We will pause for a moment for a photo. Thank you. We are back for our second item on the agenda, and that is a resolution authorizing the assignment to Housing Catalyst of Larimer County's 2025 private activity bond allocation. And this is being brought forward today by Aaliyah Rodriguez, our Housing Stability Manager. So welcome, Aaliyah, and we'll let you explain this item.
Great. Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you. Today I'm bringing a resolution to authorize the assignment of Larimer County's 2025 private activity bonds, also known as PAB, our allocation to Housing Catalyst. Each year, Larimer County receives a PAB allocation from the state of Colorado. This allocation enables the county to issue tax-exempt bonds to support building affordable housing. The county has the option to either use this allocation directly or assign it to an eligible entity that can put it to work on qualified housing projects. In keeping with our current policy, we conducted a competitive process earlier this year to determine the best use of this resource. The PAB Review Committee received 2 applications this year, one by Housing Catalyst, and the second was received after our deadline, making it ineligible for consideration. After thorough review, the committee unanimously recommended assigning 100% of the county's 2025 allocation, which totals over $6.8 million, to Housing Catalyst. As a housing authority, Housing Catalyst can hold this allocation for up to 3 years in accordance with federal regulations to strategically support affordable housing projects in their pipeline across Larimer County. By approving this resolution today, you'll be enabling Housing Catalyst to leverage this financial tool to create and preserve homes for our residents, which directly aligns with the county's housing goals. As a reminder, there's no financial obligation or risk to the county by making this allocation. It simply allows Housing Catalyst to use our tax-exempt bond allocation to support qualified housing projects. So at this time, I'd like to introduce our partners from Housing Catalyst, Julie Bruin, Chief Executive Officer, and Kristen Fritz, Chief Real Estate Officer. Julie and Kristen will provide a brief presentation on how they intend to utilize the allocation and potential projects that it can support. So I'll pass it over to Julie and Kristen.
Thank you, Aaliyah. Welcome, Julie and Kristen. Or Kristen.
Yep.
Welcome, Julie, too, though.
And do I need to bring this up?
No, I have it up.
Oh, okay.
No, change slides.
Okay. Yep, that works. Well, good morning, Commissioners. I'm Kristen Fritz, and I'm the Chief Real Estate Officer for Housing Catalyst. And as mentioned, I'm also joined by Julie Bruin, our Chief Executive Officer. So our mission at Housing Catalyst is to create sustainable communities throughout Northern Colorado. We are the housing authority for the city of Fort Collins and for Larimer County, and it is really the core of who we are and what we do to deliver affordable housing. Next slide. As most of you know, we are an experienced developer. We have developed a number of award-winning communities. Here are some photo examples of the whole variety of different housing projects that we have developed. This includes everything from permanent supportive housing, serving those transitioning out of homelessness, up to and including 30 to 80% of area median income. We do focus on rental affordable housing. Next slide. So since 2013, the amount of private activity bonds allocated from Larimer County to Housing Catalyst has been over $43 million, and that includes this 2025 request of $6.8 million. So we thought we would just take a few moments to review all the ways that we have been able to deploy that private activity bond to a variety of projects in the community. So next slide. So here's our Village on Plum that we did a large renovation in 2015 that utilized just under $9 million of private activity bond. Next slide. Our Village on Redwood, we developed 72 new units of affordable housing at 30 to 60% of AMI, and we used $12 million of PAB there. Next slide. Our Village on Shields, This was 285 units of both preservation and renovation that we completed back in 2018, and that utilized $35 million of PAB. Our Village on Horsetooth project we completed in 2018, and this was 96 new units of housing utilizing $19 million. And our recent Oak 140 project that we completed in 2023 that added 79 new units to downtown Fort Collins that utilized $19.3 million in PAB. And I shouldn't say our most recent, because this is really our most recent project, and thank you to Commissioner Kafalis for joining us at the grand opening just last week. But 86 units, that was both a combination of renovation, preservation, as well as new units that utilized just over $19 million of private activity bonds. So since 2013 to now, we have built and or preserved just over 850 units of affordable housing. And carrying on this mission, we do plan to utilize the $6.8 million of the 2025 allocation from Larimer County to support actually not just Housing Catalyst project, but Northern Colorado Public Housing Authority pipeline projects. And I think you could see in our application, we included the pipeline between Housing Catalyst as well as the Loveland Housing Authority and the Estes Park Housing Authority. Just between those three housing authorities combined, there's a very robust pipeline in need for private activity bond and additional resources to be able to deliver just the units that the three housing authorities have in our pipeline. So next slide. So currently in the pipeline, we have between the three housing authorities, we have over 1,000 units that are currently being planned, designed, trying to figure out a way to move forward. Housing Catalyst is a bond issuer, so if the private activity bond is allocated to us, we can then issue bonds for our own projects as well as be on behalf of other entities, including the Loveland Housing Authority and Estes Park. So this is a snapshot in time of the pipeline at the time that we submitted our application. Things do move around a bit in our pipeline, but as you can see, between now and 2030, between HC being Housing Catalyst, LHA and Loveland, as well as a couple, just to show you all of the need. There's also the Volunteers of America and CARE housing project in here as well, just to show the number of units that are currently being planned and that we hope are all able to get built in the next 5 years. And certainly we're going to need a lot of private activity bond capacity in order to deliver these units. So we wanted to also share on behalf of Estes Park and Loveland Housing Authority just a little bit of specifics about what they have in their pipeline as well. So Estes Park has a couple projects known as Fish Hatchery and Lone Tree, and these are a couple years out still, but they are designing and working on due diligence to be able to move both of these projects forward. Next slide. Our own pipeline at Housing Catalyst, we have a combination of new and as well as units being preserved and renovated, and these will come online in the next 3 to 5 years. And the Loveland Housing Authority also has a very robust pipeline with quite a few different projects that will include almost all tax credit projects as well, which of course the 4% tax credit is which triggers the requirement to utilize private activity bond. You cannot do a 4% low-income housing tax credit development without utilizing private activity bond. It is a requirement of the program. And thank you. And both myself and Julie are happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Kristen. Any questions for Kristen or Julie? Commissioner Shattuck McNally?
No, just thank you for this work. This is a great presentation. Certainly, I was sad to miss Paula. I look forward to having that opportunity to come to her and just appreciate the partnership that you mentioned Estes Park and Loveland, and I appreciate that regional coordination and partnership. It's really powerful and important. And thank you to Aaliyah for all the relationships and bringing this resolution forward. And I just know it's critical work for our community, and I just want to make publicly just say how much I appreciate you all and the work that you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cavallis?
Thank you. Thanks, Kristen, Julie, Leah. So I don't have any questions. I appreciate the presentation. It's very visual and very clear in terms of how all of these very involved financing puzzle pieces work together. And sometimes what I've learned over the years, it's a little bit of miracle work to try to make things happen. And it is essential. And we, the county and Housing Catalyst have a long-standing partnership over the years. I think we've worked overall, we've worked well together, and you can see the outcomes of all of that work. I was delighted and happy to participate in the recent grand opening, fun, exciting event at Village on Impala, 86 affordable housing homes, renovations and new stuff, and great playground close to Poudre High School. I remember that neighborhood was a little bit run down over the years, and I think it was also mostly public housing. And I know that the Housing Catalyst has pretty much, I think, entirely changed that stock of housing, made those available for people to purchase, and then using the assets to further invest in the work that we do. So thank you so much. I had fun at Village on Impala. Oh, and I'm supposed to show this. It was very kind of the Housing Catalyst folks. All the various speakers got one of these little things, and it's lovely. And I believe we'll put it in the display case up on the second floor. Oh, and I also am grateful to serve as the commissioner liaison to the board, and I'm glad when I can come to meetings and listen and offer a few contributions here and there. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, thank you for the presentation, Kristen. Really excited to see all the projects that are in the pipeline. That's pretty exciting. So seeing all those projects, how close does that bring us to, for the different communities that have opted into the Prop 123 modeling? I mean, are we going to get there? We don't know. We need other people to contribute. What does that look like?
So thank you. That's an excellent question. The pipeline is constrained by resources. As many units as we have planned and designed and putting together resources, there are not enough tax credits to go around to build all of those units. Because each year we're going to be limited. I think eventually we can get to those numbers, but because we're limited each year by the resources that are available, I do believe that we're going to fall short. If we had enough resources to build all of the units currently in the pipeline in the next few years, we would get closer, but I think we're going to need to be able to expand resources in order to deliver all of the units.
Fair enough. I think that maybe penalizes the communities for a year or so to not be able to apply then for some dollars, or is that how? I can't remember what the penalties for not achieving the 9% within 3 years. Was that the number?
Yeah, if we don't hit the 9% within 3 years, then you can't apply again for 1 year is the penalty. And I'd also just like to say that hitting our Prop 123 goals is the responsibility of the jurisdiction that opted in, not necessarily the responsibility of our housing authority. And it takes more than just the work that they're doing for us to hit our goals. And that's why we're working together as a region to look at all the ways we can hit our Prop 123 goals. And we've started a committee that's specific to local government staff that's responsible for tracking and reporting our Prop 123 goals. That includes City of Fort Collins, City of Loveland, Larimer County, not Weld County, City of Greeley, and many others who are working on IGAs and ways to approach that more as a region so we can all hit those goals and not lose resources coming to our region.
Thank you for explaining that too. And I know everybody's working really hard, and I understand the fiscal constraints that you have. So I still think it's a pretty remarkable list of things in the pipeline. And I like to see they're geographically spread out, which is really nice. It looked like there were some in Wellington, South Centera. I love to see them when they're close to a lot of service jobs that don't have affordable housing next to them. So we build, these big outdoor malls and jobs that pay minimum wage or slightly above and that have no housing, so people have to find a bus to get to their work or live further out and figure out transportation. So really having that housing next to those jobs is really important. And so I saw that there was some contemplated at the foothills, Centera South, and so I really like that we're thinking in that way too. Because it's really challenging for people. I'm preaching to the choir here, but challenging. Transportation is also challenging when you're rent burdened, and so really having housing nearer to employment is really important piece. So thank you for that. And with regard to the Prop 123. I think it's good to have stretch goals. We always knew it would be challenging to meet those goals. I guess it remains to be seen whether we will or not, but it is not for lack of trying on your behalf. I know that. And to Aaliyah and everybody who's working regionally to make this happen, kudos to you for, this is a hard environment in which to do this. And so we know the challenges you face, and so we're just grateful for the work, and like I said, really great to see this happening on a regional level. So thank you. I think Commissioner Kvalas had thought of something.
Just if we're assuming that folks know what Prop 123 means, and also a 9% number, could Aaliyah or you, Commissioner, or someone explain Proposition 123 and what that means in terms of additional resources? And what that 9% means? Is it additional housing units, affordable units, based on a baseline year? That would be helpful.
So as a reminder, Proposition 123 passed several years ago at the state level, and it provided funding for housing and housing services. It's split up into multiple buckets, and it's distributed through CHAFA and OEDIT and DOLA for various purposes across the needs of building and retaining housing, such as land banking, building new housing, preserving. There's all sorts of buckets it comes with. In order to access those funds, each jurisdiction had to opt in, or they had to commit to increasing their affordable housing stock by 3% each year for the next 3 years. So when we say 9%, that would be the end of our commitment, that we've increased our stock by 9% based on a baseline number that was approved by DOLA when we opted in.
And so over 3 years, how many actual homes does that equate? If we reach our stretch goals, are we adding how many homes?
I'll have to look at Larimer County's number. I don't have that with me.
And you threw out 3 acronyms: DOLA, Department of Local Affairs; CHAFA, Colorado Housing Finance Authority; and OEDIT, Office of Economic Development and International Trade. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you for defining the acronyms.
And I just offer that in a respectful way, just so folks
Absolutely.
know. I have a thing about acronyms, right?
All right. Anything else before we? Thank you. Well, great work. Thank you very much. And we'll just keep looking for ways to, keep funding these wonderful projects. I will say optimistically, I attended a lunch and learn with the Community Foundation, and it looks like they are going to have some kind of funding that they're going to encourage from their, the benefactors and the philanthropists that invest their money through Community Foundation. They are starting to do some housing work, which I think is a really exciting. Anybody who wants to jump in with dollars into the housing space is more than welcome. And so I thought that was a really great development, maybe developing a revolving loan fund or something like that. So just one more little chunk of money that you guys can add to those layers. So anyway, wonderful work. And we will now believe we'll just make the motion and get you those private activity bonds. So Commissioner Cafalis, I'll ask you to make that motion, please.
Thank you. I move to approve the 2025 resolution authorizing assignment to Housing Catalyst of a private activity bond allocation of Larimer County pursuant to the Colorado Private Activity Bond Ceiling Allocation Act.
Thank you, Commissioner. There's a motion on the table. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Lorinda, I'm sorry I didn't give you the opportunity to speak, but it's your county manager update time, and you can also speak to this item as well if you'd like.
Thank you, Commissioners. I want to say a special thank you to Aaliyah, who's taken over this process. This is a competitive process, so you might recall that earlier in the year there were application periods open. Housing Catalyst was, of course, a strong competitor. They have a history of receiving these allocations and I'm glad that you were able to highlight the history that what you've done with those allocations over the years. I think it's really impressive. But I do want to say this is a competitive process, and so we want lots of folks interested in providing housing in our community. And we have a committee that reviews these kind of applications as well. And Aaliyah, thank you for setting that up and for putting really clear guidelines on our website about how to do that and what the criteria are. Obviously, Housing Catalyst met all of those and exceeded them. So we thank you for the work that you do in the community. My report is very short because I was away last week. I want to say a thank you to Lori Cadrich for serving as acting county manager, and really applaud the staff here today. It was great to see Jen and Angela talk about family unification. It was wonderful to talk about housing and the efforts in the community. These are really important things that the county does. Participates in the ways that we can. We're limited in a lot of ways, but we can be conveners. We do have these private activity bonds. We do have staff that really believe in what they do. And it was great today to see that exhibited, in real time. So thank you to all of them, and especially to Lori.
Thank you, Lorinda. Well, we're happy to have you back. And Lori did do a great job, though, while you were gone, so thank you. We'll move on to commissioner activity reports. Commissioner Shattuck McNally, would you get us started?
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Lorinda, and thank you, Lori Cadrich. It was probably a easier week because Commissioner Stevens and I were out for the summer conference for Colorado Counties Incorporated, and we had some great conversations there. I did take a lot of meetings virtually as I was at the conference. One of those was the Youth Suicide Fatality Review Board, and we continue to look at that data and have discussions with the coroner and Dr. Gerald Olson and others to look at that data and see what kind of trends and try to share that. We have folks from the behavioral health services, so we're trying to all work together to literally see what else we can do to get more upstream to do prevention work for our youth and our community. So important stuff. I wanted to just share, I went to the Pride event the day before on Sunday in Fort Collins, and it was quite a vibrant event around the library, lots of folks, great music, great food, lots of great conversations. It was well done. You could walk and wander. There was things tucked in every nook and cranny under the trees, and I had lots of great conversations with partners from our city councilors from Fort Collins, our district attorney Gordon McLaughlin, and other community members. It was a really great day. I had been earlier taking my family to breakfast in Boulder on Pearl Street. just before I headed to that Pride event. And while I was at Pride, I had gotten alert that there was a tragedy happening on Pearl Street. It kind of rocked my world. So I didn't know exactly what was happening, but I was worried because my family was still, and my friends were still around the mall. We have a lot of places that we like to go that we've been attending for over 35 years, coffee shops and places. Fortunately, members of the community were horrifically and needlessly attacked, and I think we've all seen that in the news. And I received an invitation from the governor, and I left the conference a little early on Wednesday to go to the vigil. And I had been texting the mayor and the commissioners and some of the representatives and city council members and letting them know that I, offering my sympathies and how we could help, and to know that Larimer County supported them and let us know what they needed. It was nerve-wracking to be there on the 4th and hearing from the community, and it was a very large turnout, and it was a bipartisan turnout of electeds from the state legislature and other counties, and it was a stark reminder of how sometimes we take our peaceful mornings in a beautiful area, open community spaces that should be safe, and people should be able to peacefully and quietly, in silence, walk and express their right to freedom of speech. So I want to thank all the community members and that showed up this past weekend too to walk with those folks who have been walking almost every week for 60 weeks almost. So I just wanted to share that. It was kind of something that I will think about for a while, about the importance of standing up for everyone in our community and making sure we all have the right to express our freedom of speech. Our conference was great. It was always a great time to hang out and network with our friends from across the state. We had some interesting presentations on water, and kind of the governor's office and some of the state departments showed some of the changes they're anticipating with funding and budget cuts and forecasting. And so we also had some presentations from the Betcher Foundation. They want to get more involved with local governments. That was a great presentation. I actually pulled them aside since my family were, a couple of them were Betcher finalists. It was great to talk with them and thank them for their work. And also just to talk to staff. Our Heather O'Hara, Director of Human Services, was there, and she had done some presentations. And so I think it's always great. There's a lot of information and a lot of data, but also the relationships and the connections, and hearing from folks and seeing people face to face and having those conversations is just powerful and important. And the connections are really critical as we do this work together. And it's a lot of these issues don't know lines and borders and jurisdictions. They just are things that we all are looking to find solutions and work together. So I wanted to just kind of state that and how that kind of impacted me. I did attend, there was a functioning forest and resilience with the Forest Health Council. We're approving and working on our 30-year forest plan for the state of Colorado. And so I attended that meeting and that ongoing conversation. I had another one on Friday on how we really work on functioning forests, resilient watersheds, and what kind of goals and actions we can get our communities to work on, and also changing culture mind shift about beneficial fire on the landscape and other things. So it's been a great conversation, and I appreciate the work of the facilitator. And as soon as that gets really tied up on all the fine tuning, I will give a copy to my colleagues and share with others. It is kind of a neat piece of artwork that was created for the front of it as well. And then I went to the Fire Learning Network, which is supported by many folks between the Gnoco Fire Shed, the Forest Services Found, the Fire Learning Network, which is a national partner, and it's made up of place-based collaborations. And this one had folks from the Nature Conservancy, which I had a great conversation with them. I talked with Chris Stubbs, our new U.S. Arapahoe Roosevelt National Forest Supervisor, our just lots of staff from a lot of nonprofits, watershed coalitions, and that was at the Lyric. And we had some great, despite the rain and the lightning, we had really powerful conversations, and it was just nice to kind of eat some bread. I love the M&M brownies. It was great just to sit and chat and talk about really what we can do to become really great prescribed fire practitioners and learn from leaders around the country. We had our roadways tour with Coalition Poudre Watershed and our Office of Emergency Management, Josh Roberts and Daniel Bowker from Coalition for Poudre Watershed organized part of these tours with the communities as we went up to Cherokee Park and Glacier View and Red Feather and Crystal Lakes and Livermore. We all jumped in some vans to look at some community projects. Some of these are mitigation projects that the county has funded through our mitigation grant program. And so we got to look at some of that work and some of the work that needs to be done and some of the areas. When we talk about roadways tours, it's really important to know that roads going through some of these communities, there's only one way and out, and some of them are tight and winding and steep, and trying to widen, get trees or either cut the limbs at the bottom or widen the roads so fire trucks and folks can evacuate and try to keep those pathways and evacuation areas, the ingress, egress safe. And so that's really important work. And so it was great to see and hear from the community members who are doing this work, and also all our staff and community partners, and the U.S. Forest Service was also there along with the fire districts, including the fire chief from Poudre Canyon Fire Department. So I appreciate their time. We had a great day and brought our little sack lunches. So that was cool. I love the farmers market on Saturday. We story time. And I read stories, and there was 12 kids, and all of a sudden they left, and another 12 kids came, and it was great. The volunteers kept rounding them up, and it was a lot of fun. And then I love just walking through the market and talking with folks and learning about what they love about the market. It's just such a positive, vibrant place to be. And then I went down to Birthday Days, which is over 60 years old. And Birthday Days celebrate kind of the old roots of Birthday Days. There's lots of concerts and a parade, and then they all dress up in old-fashioned baseball gear and have an old-fashioned baseball game and all this antique clothing. And it's really kind of cool. And then State Senator Marchman had a listening session, and we had folks from Weld County and Larimer County and Boulder County all show up, and it was great to hear from them and some of their concerns. So it was really even though we were gone for a few weeks, it was a busy week. Been to a lot of areas of the county, actually almost both ends of the county, and I really appreciate the opportunity to connect with community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Cavalas, anything to report?
I don't know. I think I'll pass.
Okay, thank you. Just share a couple things here. So we had the meeting it was a couple weeks ago, we had the NAPME meeting, so that's the Non-Attainment Area Air Pollution Mitigation Enterprise. The exciting thing was 70% of the applications for the grant dollars came from north of Denver, so in the North Front Range area, which is exciting. So there'll be dollars coming into the community that will help with our transportation needs, but also help with air quality issues. So that's exciting. As Commissioner Shattuck McNally said, we were at a conference last week. It was our county's, CCI, counties in Colorado Counties, Inc. I spent a lot of at least the first day, talking about the sort of crisis that we have with the TANF dollars, the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families dollars, and the sort of this crisis that we're having at both state and the federal level with regard to funding around those kind of dollars coming into those entitlement programs that we're required to administer. So really good talks in the WAC, the Works Allocation Committee, about how we create a more sustainable program going forward, how we negotiate and work with the legislature to make them understand that the program isn't sustainable with the cost of living increases that are embedded into the cash benefit assistance part of the TANF. And so really just a lot of work with CCAP and TANF, and CCAP is, I'm sorry, I'm using acronyms. CCAP is Child Care Assistance Program, and then the Child Welfare Program. So all of those programs have really significant fiscal notes with them, and they feel unsustainable at this point at the level that they're at. So really trying to get so in the WAC we really deal with the TANF dollars, but in the Joint Allocation Committee, which is now called the Joint Alignment Committee because we don't really allocate dollars in that committee, we are trying to say the problem is with all of these three programs, child welfare, TANF, and CCAP are all underfunded and have too many requirements that don't make them sustainable in the long term. We will wipe out our reserves. The state will wipe out its reserves quite quickly, and so we really need to have a new plan going forward. So that was largely what I discussed, at least on the first day of the conference, and we will see what happens. But we have many, many more meetings to discuss really how to make the legislature understand the crisis situation that we're in with all those three programs. And then just a lot of transportation meetings right now. We are both at the CDOT level and at the regional level, really looking at our top priority projects for the next 10 years, really trying to figure out which are, regionally significant, that should be added to the list. Obviously, the fiscal constraints there again are really hard to overcome. There are many, many less dollars in transportation than there were even a couple of years ago. So, but still trying to put together a project list, because as we can find dollars to come in either through the state or federal level, we need to use them to implement these projects, which are important for safety and transportation and for people to get around our regions. So we've had a lot of meetings with the chairs of all the transportation regions. We've had this discussion at both the Upper Front Range and the North Front Range transportation planning organizations, and we to be continued, I guess. But one of the big conversations that happened in transportation last week was the clawing back of the MMOF funds, which are the multimodal option funds. The past 3 years of funding is being clawed back. So it is a problem for places like Estes Park, which has already done some of the work and will not likely be reimbursed. So really trying to figure out, can we allocate some of the dollars that are available in out years to be able to take care of projects that we really care about, that connect trails and pedestrian walkways and provide, services for people who are seniors who need transportation. I mean, these are all really good projects that we're losing with the clawing back of those MMOF dollars. So how do we try to keep those projects whole and make sure that those happen? So a lot of it feels like a lot of our work is how to still get work done without any money or less money. And it is certainly challenging, but we will keep up the good work. With that is the end of my my activity report, and we don't have any legal matters. So at 10:23, we're adjourned. Thank you, everyone.